about this. Network marketing before COVID was over 100 years old, $180 billion profession, over 100 million people participating. And to my knowledge, I've never known anyone to do what all of you have done in the period of time that you have done that. And so I appreciate the opportunity to share some information with you, Bjorn. Phenomenal job. Congratulations on being the #1 in a company. To my knowledge, it has done things that have never been done before in 100+ years. So congratulations to all of you. And I'm excited, I'm excited to share some information. My wife and I, we have 5 kids, which let me just give you a warning. Okay. If you work from home, that can happen. You can have a bunch of kids, right? So we have 5 kids from 27 down to 12. And that's my life. And so we're very blessed to have that. And people, they hear my story. And I'm very fortunate, very blessed, and I'm very appreciative. I recruited over 1,000 people. I was in network marketing before I became a trainer, speaker, consultant, and coach for over 28 years. And I recruited over 1,000 people personally. I had way over 1,000 personal customers, built teams of, that did hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue all over the world. And, the magazines and the books, and worked on an advisory panel with John Maxwell and interviewed by Grant Cardone. Those are great things. Don't get me wrong. But I think what's really going to motivate you is the rest of the story. Okay. It's what happened before all of that. So what happened before that was I failed for 7 years, 7 solid years. I dropped out of college. I wanted a better life for my family. And I believed in this industry, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a mentor, and we didn't have the internet. And I think that's also a very interesting part of my story. I built with no social media, and then, and recruited hundreds and got over 1,000 customers with no social media. Then when social media came onto the scene, we started having mobile phones and, digital online marketing. I went out and hired some of the best in the world. I hired one of the top 20 YouTubers in Forbes magazine before I launched my YouTube channel. I hired one of the top 10 social media experts in the world in Forbes. And what it allowed me to do is build a following of several 100,000 people. And see, that's why you're smart, because you're jumping on here today. Why would we spend our whole life trying to figure out what to do right when we can learn from someone else that has spent many years, right, figuring out what to do right? You can read their book. You can take their course. You can jump on here with all of these phenomenal leaders and learn from their years of experience. And what that does, it compresses time frames. I call it success compression. It shaves years off of your learning curve. And for those of you that maybe have kids, right, or you were a kid, that pretty much sums up all of us, right? Our parents, they wanted to tell us things so we could learn from their mistakes. They're like, hey, listen, don't do this. And maybe you're hard-headed like I am. And some of those things I had to learn the hard way. But I want to share some things with you today that took me years to learn. So hopefully to shave some time off of your learning curve, help to get where you want to be sooner than later. So after failing for 7 years, finally having those mentors come into my life. But before they did, I ended up bankrupt. Okay, so that's government assistance. I had my car repossessed. I was on Medicaid, which they give to people here in the US that can't afford to feed their family. They can't afford a doctor. I went to the doctor for depression. I really didn't have any hope. When you can't feed your kids, you can't support your spouse. I couldn't keep a job. I'm a college dropout, right? I live in a small town still to this day, right? We have 1,500 people in our little teeny town. If you got in the county, it's about 10,000. And so I didn't have a lot of hope. But thank God someone came into my life that looked at me not as how I was, but how I could be with my God-given potential, and it changed my world. And so the reason that I walked away after being a distributor, for 28 years is because I've always had this passion. I'm like, man, I want to be the person that is what I needed for those 7 years, because I don't want people to have to go through some of those things. So that's kind of my story. And here's the good news for all of you, no matter where you are watching this today. You can't change your life overnight, but you can change the direction of your life overnight. You can change the direction of your business overnight. So it doesn't matter what you went through in the past, it's where you're going. Don't look back unless you want to go that way. All right, we're going to focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. And let's start out talking about, the network marketing, direct sales, online marketing world. In my opinion, we have never been in a better place in our lifetimes, right? In 100 plus years, 180 billion, 100 million people, those were numbers before COVID. Those were numbers when we used to have to tell people, hey, listen, Mr. Smile, have you ever thought about maybe working from home? Have you ever thought about maybe having a plan B, right? And we had to really maybe sell people sometimes on, they may need to think about, what if you got laid off from your job? Well, do we ever have to do that ever again? No, never again, right? Because the world now knows that you do not want to leave your financial future in someone else's hands. And what are their options? Their options are, well, I can go out, because my wife and I also had success with traditional businesses. We had franchises. Well, in that world, who do you know right now that wants to put their name on a several year lease where they're responsible for renting a space? What if we get shut down again? So really everyone is looking for a way. So you just shared with me how you can do everything right from your smartphone, right? You have the flexibility. So there's never been a better time. Now, I don't know, I'm learning about your company, and Bjorn has done a phenomenal job at sharing that information with me, but you've done things that have never been done before. And so I want to help you with your attitude and your philosophy, right? Because success, if you listen to Tony Robbins, whose companies did over $6 billion in revenue last year, Tony Robbins talks about how 80% of your success is psychology, right? The skills are very simple when it comes to building a big business. But what happens how do you get into your company? How do you get into Crowd1? It's pretty simple, right? Okay, for a minimal investment, you go, I'm in. But how do you get out? I'm out, right? What's easy to do is easy not to do. We lead a voluntary army. So when my wife and I had those two franchises, and we had spent $700,000, right, in those franchises, and we had all these employees and overhead and headache, what's fascinating is I was making more money in 1 month from my phone in network marketing than I was both of those combined in a year, having complete freedom. But in my mind, I treated my business like I invested that type of money. So even though you can get started in your company for such a minimal investment, now let me just say this, some of you may go, Darin, well, that's easy for you to say. It's not minimal for me. Hey, I've been there, right? I couldn't feed my family, right? I had that day of disgust that I go, you know what, I've had it. And so I completely appreciate and understand where some of you are, but that's going to be part of your story. You're writing chapters in your book that are going to motivate and inspire people to know they can have more, they can do more, and if you can do it, they can do it. So Jim Rohn says, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better, right? Jim Rohn says, set a goal to make $1 million, not for the $1 million, but what you become in the process, right? I met a guy years ago, right? I'm having a hard time sitting still. Can you tell that, right? I got so much energy. I'm just excited. I met a guy years ago, and this guy, he had this amazing car. Like I'd never seen a car like it. And he had this necklace, this gold necklace that probably cost more than my home. And I walked over and I'm like, listen, sir, I love studying successful people. If you don't mind telling me, like, what do you do for a living? That's a beautiful car. That's a beautiful necklace. And he laughed and he said, I won the lottery. And I thought he was joking. And I'm like, and he was like, no, I'm serious. I worked in a kitchen at a local college and I won the mega $1 million lottery. Now, does anybody know why most people that win the lottery go broke? Okay, not only do they go broke, I saw some numbers last week here in the US. Within 36 months, over 70% of the people lose all their money that win the lottery. Most of them actually go to a place that was worse than where they were before they ever won the lottery. And you go, why is that? Because they didn't become a multimillionaire. They were given millions of dollars, and our income always comes back to where we are. So if we want to make more, all we have to do is become more, right? And so when I got started on my journey, we didn't have the ability. You just had the ability. Look at the superstars that you just heard from on this one training, right? I used to have to drive for many hours and borrow gas money, borrow a car, because I was just searching for someone that would really help me. So when it comes to working on yourself, you want to work on yourself as hard or harder than you're working on your business. And what does that mean? It's about personal development. So when my mentor said, Darin, you don't make what you want, you make what you are. If you want to make more, you have to become more. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? They go, well, it's personal development. What do you read? What do you listen to? Who do you associate with? Because your associations are like an elevator. They lift you up or they bring you down. So I had to ask myself, like, what are my associations doing to me, or what are they doing for me? So that's exactly what you're doing today, and I want to congratulate you for all of that. Now, when you're taking notes, hopefully you're taking notes, because you do not want to trust your fortune to your memory. One thing that I would highlight in your notes is that basics create wealth when it comes to building your business, because fancy does not duplicate. I was in a room several years ago with hundreds of top money earners from all over the world. And the general consensus was 80% of production comes from new people, brand new people. So think, why is that? Why is it the longer that we're in, people, they learn more information, right? So then we think we need to, just spew all this information on people. We're sharing the business, right? And the services and the products. And we start to complicate things. So you want to make sure that you keep everything very simple and very basic, which is why what I'm going to work with you on today in this session are some basics. But I want to help you get your attitude and your philosophy right. If you get that right, everything else will work itself out. You go, man, why do some people have success and some people don't have success? But we're doing very similar things. It's not the how-tos. It's how you do the how-tos. Now, how many of you have ever seen the movie Hitch, right? Okay. The only person I can see on here right now is Mr. Smile, right? Okay. But how many of you have ever seen the movie Hitch, where Will Smith, and you can look it up on YouTube afterwards, is trying to teach Kevin James how to dance, right? And there's that song by Usher. This is the song right here. And Will Smith, Kevin James goes, look, I don't need any help learning how to dance. I've got this. And he says, okay. And he turns on the music, and Kevin James starts to do all this fancy stuff, right? Let's see if you can hear this. I don't know if you can hear this or not, but let's see. Can y'all hear that? Can you hear that, Mr. Smile? Okay. And then all of a sudden, he starts dancing like this, right? And he's like, yeah. He starts dancing, making the pizza, right? Doing the Q-tips, throw it away, right? And then Will Smith smacks him and says, no. Don't ever do that again, right? This is where you live, right here, right? You don't need to make the pizza. You don't need to do the Q-tips. You don't need to do any of that fancy stuff. So when it comes to your business, this is where you live. You want to keep it very simple and very basic. So Bjorn, let's go ahead and get right into the slides. Okay, so the first slide, how many of you want me to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear? All right, that's why you're on here. You're like, Darin, show me what I need to do to take my business to the next level. All right, great, perfect. And this is the way it's going to work. It's an emotional roller coaster, right? Can I get an amen on that one? Like if you have not felt like quitting, you have just not been in the business long enough, right? So if you're promising people, hey, look, you can get in, you can do nothing, you can get rich quick, it's like winning the lottery, you're going to attract people that do not want to work. And most people know their mindset anyway, even if they're not saying it, we've been taught if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Right? If it sounds easy, it may be sleazy. So when people go, Darin, I love the fact that you are real with people. Well, that's why I want you to know when you're out there building your business that it's normal. It's what everybody goes through. It's not just you, because if we don't let them know what to expect, they're going to quit the business. They're not going to stay strong enough, long enough to have success. Let me know if that makes sense. So when you have the emotional roller coaster, you're going to get in. It may be today. Some of you are going to be in the no sleep zone, right? You're going to be like a Chihuahua, okay? That little teeny dog that has an enormous amount of energy. You're going to be like a Chihuahua jacked up on an energy drink. Whatever energy drinks you have in your area, okay, if you can imagine that. Because your dream machine is starting to turn on. You're like, you know what? Oh my gosh, maybe I don't have to work until I die. Maybe I can eliminate my debt. Maybe I can retire my spouse. Maybe I can travel the world. Maybe I can love what I do and can't wait to wake up every single day. You're in the no sleep zone. But then you go share it with some people that you know will see what you see. And they say some crazy, stupid stuff, right? Like, I can't believe you're doing one of those things. Oh my gosh, those things are a scam. Those things don't work. That's like me saying to you, okay, you go to a gym? Are you kidding me? Have you not heard that gyms are scams? I know a lot of people that go to the gym and work out, but they're still not in shape. Gyms are scams. It's not that gyms don't work, it's people that don't work. But because you're so excited, your knowledge is low, your excitement is high. Okay, you see the downturn on that roller coaster? That's called the self-doubt phase. And I will share with you how to get through that self-doubt phase. You went from the I'm so excited, I can't sleep, to doubting yourself and going, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should listen to my broke friends and family. Well, by the way, if you buy people's opinion, you buy their lifestyle. So if they don't have what you want, why would you listen to them? I will guarantee you, after this training today, there's not one of the 1,000 people here and all the people on YouTube and all the replay video viewers, none of you are going to message me and say, Darin, can you please let me know your top hair care tips? You're not going to do that because I have no hair. So if you buy people's opinion, you buy their lifestyle. Why do we call broke friends and family and ask them their opinion, right? So when I stopped listening to people that had the same problems that I had, started listening to people that had the solutions and the life that I wanted, my whole world started to change. But then you have somebody call you back and they go, man, you've never seen anybody do what I'm going to do, right? Lata, I'm going to make you rich. Like you're going to be able to retire and travel the world, and you're back up. Right? You're back up on that roller coaster in the no sleep zone. Then maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month later, they disappear. They're the witness protection program. They block you from social media, right? It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. If you hadn't felt like quitting, you hadn't been in long enough. That is completely normal. But listen, don't get mad at the downturn. That's called the process. This is where Jim Rohn said, look, you get paid based on the size of the problem that you can solve. When I was building in the field and I was a top money earner, and they go, Darin, you don't understand. People steal some of my products. No, you don't have to worry about that. But I would say, hey, look, the only difference in me and you, if my income is bigger than your income, they probably stole more of my stuff than they have your stuff. Well, you don't understand. Like, I had an event and I had all these people were supposed to show up and only one person showed up. Well, I remember back in the old school days, right? I drove 3.5 hours one way and the person doing the event didn't show up, right? Well, Darin, I've got all these people on my team and no one's doing anything. And I go, well, if I'm making more money than you, I've got more people doing nothing than you do. So get some more people doing something, or get more people doing nothing, and you'll have more people doing something. So the point is, don't get mad at the process. If we get paid based on the size of the problem that we can solve, if I jumped on here today and I go, look, the first day I joined this industry, I had success and I never had a failure, you would not waste another minute listening to me. But what motivates you listening to me are the stories that I'm sharing with you that I've been through, because you know if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm going to give you the 3 keys to success in just a second. So it is an emotional roller coaster, and I'm going to teach you how to get through that in just a second. Time versus money. So if you look at the right part of the screen, this is a 5-year chart. You're going to get started. If you look up top, there's very little money in that first year and a lot of time. You're going to be working really hard. And you're going to look at your check and your income and you're going to go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm working so hard for so little. But by the 5th year, you have the potential. This is not an income claim, but you have the potential to not even know where your money's coming from. You're working very little bit of time, but you're making massive amounts of money. Okay, you have that potential if you're willing to pay the price and you're willing to work. Now, you can take that 5 years if you would like, and this is what I did. I compressed it down to about 12 to 24 months. I'm like, you know what? I want to get there sooner than later. And to be honest with you, it's a whole nother training, but it is easier to build it fast than it is to build it slow. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. So 3 keys to success, right? If you don't have these 3 things, it's probably impossible to succeed. Okay, but the good news, you're on here, you're watching this, you most likely have all 3. Number 1, you have to be coachable. Now, what does that mean? Most people, they say, yes, I'm coachable, but that's really code for, as long as you tell me what I'm comfortable with, I'm coachable. But if it rubs me the wrong way, I'm not that coachable. Here's a little tip from my experience. If it rubs you the wrong way, if emotions start to bubble up, it was probably meant for you. So I've had doctors that have come on my team in the past, and they go, I'm a doctor. I'm not doing these little simple things that you tell me to do. And they fail fast, and they fail hard. But then I've had people or doctors that come on board and they go, hey, listen, I went to school to be a doctor, but I'm smart enough to know that this is completely different. So if you tell me what to do, I'll do it. And they had massive success, right? How many of you have McDonald's where you live, right? Probably everywhere. There are 30,000 plus McDonald's all over the world. You wouldn't spend millions of dollars on a McDonald's, go to Hamburger University and say, hey, I know that the cheeseburger's in a yellow wrapper. Okay, I know the fry machine is on the left side when I'm facing the counter. The shake machine is on the right side. You know, they don't have the best hamburger, but they have a system. And you're going to do exactly what they tell you because you're going to want to have similar results to the 30,000 plus successful McDonald's. So you want to be coachable, follow the leadership of your company, follow the leadership of your organization. And even if you don't understand it, I don't have to understand why some things work, right? If I trust the source, I just know that they said it works and I'm going to do it as long as it's honest and ethical. All right, so let's go to number 2. Okay, desire. How do you create desire? This could be the most important part of the entire training. You know why you're building the business. So if I sat down with each and every one of you right now, if we did a Zoom call and I go, tell me what's most important to you in your life right now, what would that be? Now, for me, when I first got in, it was just like, man, I would just like to buy groceries. I would like to have a safe car for my family. I would like for my family to be able to eat healthier, you know, but your why will change and it will grow. But remember the emotional roller coaster when you're going through that self-doubt phase? This is what helps you stay strong enough, long enough to get to the other side. So for me, we had this big Coca-Cola plastic piggy bank, and we told my oldest daughter, someday we'll use it to go to Disney World. And growing up, we never had money. And so my dad passed away 10 years ago saying, someday we'll go do this, and someday we'll go do that. And someday never came. And so I've learned that someday leads to a town called nowhere. But I've also learned that some people's some days are other people's every days. So when she walked in one day and we had that on the floor, and I'm taking the change, the money out of my little girl's piggy bank for Disney World just to go get food, and she runs in, sees me taking it, runs out crying, that was my day of disgust. That was my day that I go, I've had it. And I drew a line in the sand. I remember being on my hands and knees going, God, how could I get that low to the point where I'm taking my child's money? And I walked into my other room and I wrote on the wall, I will until. I will until. And a mentor of mine said, Darin, success is buried right underneath frustration. And I go, well, I have to be close because I can't get any more frustrated than I am right now. And with that, every time I felt like quitting, which was 100 times a day, I would rewind that and play that back in my mind, going, you know what? I will until they can quit on their family. I will never quit on my family. And that helped me stay strong enough, long enough to have a breakthrough to get to the next level. And again, I could do a 2-hour training on this one part, but you want to know, have a crystal clear picture of exactly what you want. So without getting too detailed, let me share this with you. Your brain does not know the difference in reality and what you tell it. So when you visualize an experience, you visualize you achieving a rank, achieving a goal, retiring your spouse, right? Being a stay-at-home parent, helping people, impacting people, loving what you do, having that dream car, right? Buying that dream home. When you visualize that, your body and your brain produce the same chemicals and endorphins as if the experience actually happened. So your brain encodes that as a memory. And so when I was mentored by a billionaire for over a decade, he used to tell me, you magnetize the condition that you seek. What you think about, you truly do bring about. Your words and your thoughts are a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you seek seeks you. Does that make sense? There's a thing in your brain called the reticular activating system, RAS for short. And your brain wants to be right, and you have to tell your brain what you want, and your brain blocks out the majority of things that are going on, because if you took in everything, it would drive you crazy. So by the time we're 35 years old, we think every day 70 to 90,000 thoughts every day. Over 90% of the thoughts that you think today are the exact same thoughts that you thought yesterday, right? So if you start to think about what you're thinking about and what you speak, I used to say things, because your brain wants to be right, I used to say things like, I can't afford it. Well, then what it does, it goes into your subconscious mind and it throws into your conscious mind, you're right, Darin. Here are all the reasons you can't afford it. So now I ask myself, how can I afford it? And then your brain goes to work, right? I used to say, I can't recruit. I can't get a customer. No one listens to me. Well, your brain goes, here are all the reasons that that's true. One example of the reticular activating system. Have you not noticed how many cars are on the road like the one you're driving until you bought it, right? Were they there before? They were there before, but your awareness. So when you set a goal, and you know, Tony Robbins did this at an event. He said, how many things can you see that are brown? Count them. And he gave us like 20, 30 seconds. And you're going 1, 2, 3, 4. And he goes, close your eyes. How many blue things did you see? And we're like, you didn't tell us to look for blue. You said look for brown. And he's like, you have to tell your brain what you want. He goes, now that you're looking for it, open your eyes. And how many things can you see that are blue? A lot more, because you're searching for it. So the clearer the picture of your future here, the more goal-directed your actions are on a daily basis. What thou seest, thou beest. You have to see it in your mind before you ever see it in reality. Anything you ever achieve, you ever win in life, you will achieve in your head first. So really spend some time with that billionaire. When he goes, Darin, I want you to make a dream board, a vision board. I'm like, really? I'm like, are we in like a little kid in school? But I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's his private jet that I'm flying in, not mine. He's the one paying for 1,000 kids a year to go to college, not me, right? He's the one that gave away hundreds of millions to charity. If he says do a dream board, I do a dream board. And like, if you look now, let me know in the comments, in the chat, if this is making sense to you. If any of you are having an aha moment, let me know in the chat. But if you look on my phone, you can't see it. I've got my goals on my phone because we check our phone an average of 400 times a day. I've got it on my phone. I've got it on my iPad, my computer, my whiteboard. I would put it on dry erase marker on your mirror. So every night when you're getting ready for bed, what you think about before you go to bed, you marinate on for the next 6 to 8 hours while you sleep. I would have it where you're getting ready in the morning, you're looking at the mirror on your refrigerator, and you want to be crystal clear. Okay, so I'll skip on to the next thing in just a second so we can get done. But the clearer the picture, vivid detail. It's not, I want a brand new car. What kind of car do you want? I want a Lexus. Well, what color Lexus? A white Lexus. What color interior? Black interior. What type of wheels? Chrome wheels. Okay, I see we got someone, I want a Lambo, right? Different people. So you want to be very clear. I want to travel. Where do you want to travel? Go ahead and plan that travel out right now. What country, what location, what hotel, where you're going to eat, what are you going to see while you're there, what fun activities. You want to be crystal clear on exactly what you want, right? So that desire. So here's what happens. Your motivation is a motive for your actions. So for me, I'm like, I don't care what they do. I can't help what they do. I will never quit on my family. I am doing this for my family. And by the way, let me give you a massive tip. There was this farmer that was sitting on his front porch and he was in a rocking chair. And there was a neighbor walking by and he goes, "Hey, mister, your dog is laying under the porch on a nail." And the farmer goes, "Hey, don't worry about it. When it hurts bad enough, he'll move." Sometimes our friends and family, it doesn't hurt bad enough. I don't work with people that want it, right, or need it. I work with people that want it. Some of them, you throw them the life jacket, they won't even grab it. They won't participate in their own rescue. You have to love them. You have to care about them, but you have to go with or without any of them. Does that make sense? So coachable desire. And then number 3, okay, the last, how many of you have the first 2, right? Okay, the first 2. So number 3, Bjorn, if I can get you to click on number 3 for me, that'd be awesome, is willing to work. This is called network marketing, not net play marketing, not win the lottery marketing. You have to be willing to pay the price. With every Olympic athlete, with every professional athlete, with every successful entrepreneur, there's a season of sacrifice. So there were times that I missed my kids' birthdays. And I've had people go, "Man, what a terrible dad you are." Ask my kids what they think about that. Because we would celebrate a week early or 2 weeks early or a week late. But because I was willing to sacrifice for a short period of time, my kids at a young age lived a life that most kids only dream of. I've missed my anniversary before. And you're like, "Oh my gosh," I had somebody go, I'm glad I'm not your wife, right? I'm like, well, ask my wife what she thinks about it. Because I was willing to sacrifice temporarily, we were able to go out there, and now we don't have to wait one day a year to celebrate. We can celebrate every single day, right? And some of you may say this, "Hey, listen," and thank you, man, I love this. I love all the aha moments in the comments. You are amazing. Bjorn, now I know why you brag on this group so much. I mean, you're the best. I love it. And so sometimes we go, "Hey, listen, man, I wish everybody saw what I saw. I wish everybody saw the opportunity of Crowd1," right? Have you ever said that before? My mentor taught me, he said, "Darin, don't want what you don't want." And I'm like, what does that mean? Opportunities go through 3 phases. Number 1, ridiculed. Okay? Ridiculed. Man, I can't believe you're doing that. Franchises 30 years ago, they said were scams. Now they're, everybody accepts them, right? Number 2, okay, ridicule, opposed. Violently opposed, actually. And then number 3 is self-evident. Ridiculed, opposed, and then self-evident. But only 3% ever get involved in the first 2 most profitable phases, which is ridiculed and opposed. So I met a guy in my state that had 12 cell phone stores in the late 80s. Now, this is when a cell phone was as big as a backpack. Y'all remember that? You had to carry them like this. They were so big. and the reception was terrible, and there were thousands of dollars. So back in the late 80s, if you talk to 10 people, 9 or 10 out of 10 said you have lost your mind. No one will ever have a phone in their car. It's the last place you get any peace. In the early 90s, AT&T walked in and paid him 14 million US for 12 little teeny 300 square foot stores losing money. So now if you go, hey, how many of you know what a mobile phone, a cell phone is? 10 out of 10 know exactly what it is. Your 2-year-old can operate it better than you and me. Well, where would you rather be? Back where it's hard to make a living now doing that. But yet if you went back when everybody laughed at you, you're wealthy, you're rich, right? So ridiculed, opposed, and then self-evident. So right now you're building your business. I mean, here's the way I would look at it. Hey, look, we can't control who sees it. Some will, some won't. We got to keep moving. We're looking for the lookers, but know that there will come a point in time where people that you introduce this to, it'll still be a great opportunity, but it may take them 1,000 hours to do what you can do now in 1 hour. Does that make sense? All right, let's go to the next slide, Bjorn. All right. Okay, I went over, we're out of time. Let's go through this real quick. 4 types of knowledge. Here's what you're going to go through as you're building your business. Number 1, learned knowledge. It's what you're doing right now. It's YouTube, it's podcasts, it's your company trainings. Okay, that's the learned knowledge. Number 2, activity knowledge. If you're like me and every single person I've ever met, when they finally admit it, you're not going to feel like you're ready. You're going to go, man, I need a little bit more training. I need a little bit more education. I need to prepare. You know what? You're going to be bad before you're good. Every great leader was a bad leader in the beginning. Emerson said, do the thing, have the power. He didn't say wait for the power, then go do the thing. Motion creates emotion. 1 hour in the field implementing what you learn is worth 20 to 50 hours sitting in a classroom. So you're not gonna feel like it. You're gonna fail. Every successful person that I've ever met is the biggest failure that I've ever met. But what they had a different perspective. My perspective is I don't fail, I win or I learn. So you go learned knowledge, then you go activity knowledge. And if you come back and watch this training once a week, right, for the next 5 weeks, if you don't see something different every week, my mentor said, Darin, it just means that you're not doing anything in between. So you go learned activity. Go back to here, the learned knowledge again. You go, oh my gosh, okay, have you ever read a book over or listened to a training again and go, man, where was that before? I didn't hear that before, right? That's why. Learned activity. Number 3 is modeling knowledge. Everything that you do, good or bad, duplicates in your organization. You want to make sure the master copy is worth duplicating. And there's 2 ways I look at modeling. Number 1 is I find someone that has what I want and I model what they do. So Bjorn is the number 1 money earner in the whole company, right? Very smart, pay attention, right? The leaders that you heard presenting, pay attention. Success leaves clues. And the other thing, I go, man, I don't make what I want. I used to have the attitude, I'm being very transparent, right? I tell everybody I am a hot trainer, okay? A hot trainer. Some of you are like, Darin, we can see you in the camera. You're not that hot. Hey, I look just like The Rock, but different, okay? Just like The Rock, but different, okay? I'm not as big as The Rock. You can call me the Pebble, maybe. I'm the Pebble. All right, so there's another tip. Have fun. Lighten up in your sales, brighten up. So modeling knowledge, but HOT stands for, let me finish that. I almost left it at that. Honest, open, and transparent. HOT, honest, open, and transparent. That's the type of trainer that I am. I don't candy coat it. I don't pretend to be something I'm not, because I'm not helping you by doing that. I made the mistake when it comes to this. I used to go, hey, well, you know what? When I start making money, then I'll do some of the things that you're telling me. And my mentor said, Darin, that's a bad attitude. The attitude comes before the money. The attitude comes before the team, not the other way around. If you ever want to make a lot of money, have a big team, you have to become that type of person now, because you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So that's modeling knowledge. And number 4 is teaching knowledge. If you really want to retain something, what if every week when you listen to a training or you participated, I would have the mindset, Hey, look, I've got to do this exact training next week for a new group of 1,000 people. How would you take notes, right? You would take notes like no one's business. You would hang on every single word. Well, you want to do that anyway because you will retain so much more. Okay, so learn knowledge, you go learned activity. Number 3, then you're worthy of being modeled. And then number 4, teaching knowledge. Okay, next slide, please. All right, you all are very kind. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying the training. This is the magic ingredient. We're going to end on this slide, the magic ingredient. Okay, this is something that a billionaire who had 40 companies in 60 countries that did billions of dollars in revenue. He's the one that got his training, got John Maxwell started, right? He taught me this and it completely changed my life. If I charged you, true story, if I charged you $10,000 just for this one slide, it would be the deal of the century. Okay, how many of you in the chat are ready to hear it? Okay, how many of you are ready to hear it? All right, Venmo me or Cash at me, $5,000 a day as a gift for just a deal for you. No, I'm joking. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you for free. The magic ingredient, and here's how it came about. We were being mentored every summer, and Ken Blanchard, who wrote the book, Lead Like Jesus, 1 Minute Manager, one of the top leadership gurus in the world, he went to my mentor, Paul J. Meyer, the billionaire. And he goes, man, I don't understand. Why is there more information available than ever before? But there are more people struggling with their health, wealth, relationships. Think about it. You can Google anything, and there's more knowledge than you could ever read in your lifetime. But there are more people struggling than ever before. What are they missing? And the billionaire Paul Meyer said it's easy. They're missing the magic ingredient, which is spaced repetition. Spaced repetition. And you may, and again, I'm just telling you, at first you hear it, you may not understand the power of it. But let me share a little bit more. How many of you have ever done martial arts? Right? So I've done something pretty much my whole life. I know enough to get beat up. Like, don't challenge me, right? But I could teach you. I kickboxed for 15 years, one of the top 10 in the world, and so I could teach you how to defend yourself. Block and do all of these things or whatever. And let's say that you're a natural. You look like you've been doing it your entire life. And tonight you go out to dinner and somebody comes up and they're going to try to rob you, and they jump out from behind a tree and they swing at you. And instead of doing something, what we practice, which is whatever, just blocking, right? Or pivoting or moving, instead you scream and do the opposite. You go, ah, and you do the opposite. Why did you do that when earlier you were practicing it and it was perfect? You look like a natural. And because of time's sake, I'll let you know. It's called muscle memory. So a friend of mine that fought in the UFC goes, Darin, it takes 10,000 reps before it becomes muscle memory, where you don't even think about it. Bruce Lee used to talk about, it was like he would step outside of his body in a real life situation and he would watch his body just go to work, right? Well, you have to rep your mind like you rep your muscles in the gym. Okay, if we can click to the next bullet point, please, Bjorn. Over 50% of what you retain is after the 5th time that you hear it, see it, or read it. After. So that's why when you do the learn knowledge, this training, I remember him telling me, Darin, I would rather you read the same book once a month for the next 4 to 6 months in a row than read 4 to 6 different books, because you're going to get so much more out of it. There are trainings and courses that I listen to 25 to 50 times. And every time that I do it, I hear something completely different. So I rep my mind. I spaced repetition over and over and over again. I will get to the point I know what they're going to say before they say it. I can say it with the same inflection in my voice as they did. So everything that you do, understand it's that spaced repetition. Every training, I've gotten notes that I was going over preparing for this training that I had years ago, that I've gone over 50 to 100 times, that refreshed my memory. And guess what? When you do that, they're going to mean different things to you. There's some things that I'm looking at now that I had notes from years ago or listened to a training several years ago, and that light bulb came on because it's what I needed to hear exactly where I am today. All right. And this last thing I want to share with you, as we've gone 39 minutes, got to close it out, is the compound effect. Right? This is to help you with the mindset. You're going to do things successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And my motto is, I will do today what most won't do to have tomorrow what most won't have. But the frustrating part is that you're going to do simple things on a daily basis. You're reading 10 pages out of a good book a day. Well, you go, man, that's not really going to change my life. Well, that's about a book a month. In 10 years, you've read 100 books. Most people hadn't read 10. That compound effect, that penny a day and doubling it for 30 days. So you jump on this training today and you jump off. Are you going to see a massive difference in your business? No. But when you continue to do these things over a period of time and you continue to push through no matter how you feel, you're going to see all of a sudden people come up to you and they go, man, you must have gotten lucky. And then in your mind, you're going to go, no, luck had nothing to do with it, right? I was willing to do those simple things. Here's the key. On a daily basis that seem to make no difference at all when you're doing them. They compound over a period of time, good or bad. So if we walked into McDonald's and we go, man, what happened to that person on the floor? And you go, well, they ate a Big Mac, some French fries, and a milkshake, and they died of a heart attack immediately. We would never eat that again. But it wasn't what they ate that day. It was they slowly dug a grave with their teeth. And I know that's a bad visual, but you'll remember that. So it's you're doing the same things. You're on here today. You're reading your books. You're listening to your audio programs. You're plugging into your weekly training. Most people are not doing that. Your business, just like mine, looked exactly the same. But over a period of time, my business did this and theirs did this. And then they said things like, you must have gotten lucky. No, successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And you're doing the right things on this training. So as I close out, just remember this: vision is seeing it before the masses see it. They asked Helen Keller, what's worse than being blind? She said, having sight with no vision. The late Dr. Miles Monroe said, sight is a function of the eyes. Vision is a function of the heart. What are you willing to do for the next 6 to 12 months, right? To never have to punch a time clock again, unless you want to. Never to work a job again, unless you want to. To be able to impact people directly and indirectly. Do you think I would have ever dreamed I would be on here, people over 100 countries, speaking all over the world in stages in front of 40,000 people and stuff like that? No. So if I can do it, you can do it. I'm cheering for you. And for all the leaders that had me on here, trusting me to share some information with each and every one of you, you know what? I appreciate you more than you know. I am cheering for you. And I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to, who knows, maybe Crowd1 will have me come in and speak at something, but I'm excited to stay connected with each and every one of you. And it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.